Thomas here, welcome back to the channel. We are tackling a skid steer project. This time, we're doing an implement. I'm making my own stump bucket, something I've wanted for a long time, something I've needed for a long time. We're gonna do that with just some scrap steel. I've got a C-channel here and a piece of angle iron. You're gonna wanna see how we put this together. If you wanna tackle a similar project for any implement, grab one of these quick attach plates off Amazon. They're like 70 bucks, they're great. They need a little bit of adjustment, but they'll save you a ton of money. Now this over here, this C-channel and this angle iron, it's basically $1 a pound. So for about 50 bucks, I got this. So my whole setup, when it's all said and done, I'm gonna have a stump bucket for 120 bucks. I'm saving a ton of money on this, guys. Enough to not make it tip over. Wow, dead nuts, first shot. Gonna get me a lottery ticket. Now you see this on the machine, you can get an idea of how these things work. We're taking all of the lifting power from the machine and we're putting that into an 8-inch surface area. This is actually smaller than your standard flathead shovel. So that's going to give us a lot of lifting power to get up and under tree roots, bushes, whatever. I looked at a bunch of these online and I did my best to mimic probably the more simple design, which is a flat plane with some shallow teeth. The more involved designs, I don't know if they're any better, but they were a more complicated design. They tend to have a belly right here where the teeth go, kind of a curve to it instead of this flat plane. And then they would have a more involved tooth design, kind of like the two-man crosscut saws you'd see in the logging competition. I think this will be just fine, so this is what I'm going with. Just like when you're a little kid, arts and crafts. You may have seen me use this angle measure on the channel before. It's a great little tool. You can get it cheap. I'll put a link to it in the description below. But I've kind of eyeballed this already, and I think I like about 60 degrees. Pete, if you're watching, check this out, buddy. Finally getting some teeth on that bucket. You've been talking about that for a while. Now, when I was looking for these, I went for the old Amazon special. These things are expensive. Comment below if I should have done 2 or 3. I don't know, maybe I don't hate the 3. I'm biased, guys, but if this thing works as well as it looks, it is going to do some damage and something's coming out of the ground or something's breaking. Hopefully not my machine. Do me a favor, guys, and comment below if you know what this means. Obviously, I know what this means. That means US of A, America, bald eagles, ready to break something. And that's like a G, the reverse G. So I don't know if that's a company symbol, but then CVL, that seems like that would stand for something important. Now, some of you may have seen a picture of this already that I put on the community post when this was in the making. And somebody chimed in and said, it ain't going to survive. And of course, you know, when you spend a lot of time cutting this and welding it, that's the last thing you want to hear. So I had to check the man's credentials. And unfortunately, I think he's qualified, because when I checked his page, all he does is stump grinding. I have no idea how much he uses of these, but he does a lot with stumps, clearly, because that's his business. So I asked him, and I was serious. Well, why? You said it's so, which, by the way, I don't mind negative comments, guys. I don't even mind a different opinion on anything on my channel. I actually think it's great. I think it makes me more well-rounded, and I think it helps other viewers. But what I don't like is when somebody says, that ain't gonna work. Why? Tell me why. Help me. Help somebody else so they don't make my same mistake. That said, I pushed on him a little bit, and he was a man of few words, but he did say too thin, saying this material is too thin. So this is 1/4 inch material. This is all 1/4 inch. Down here in the corners, this C channel gets that 1/2 inch. So I said, oh boy, did I make a huge mistake, because I picked this raw steel out, and in my head, a 1/4 inch was plenty. I mean, guys, 1/4 inch is pretty thick steel. That's a relative statement. Gosh, every time you say something, somebody's there to let you know why you're wrong. What I mean by that is just go look at the framing underneath your truck. It's box tubing, but it ain't 1/4 inch. That's thick steel, guys. And okay, this statement is more hopeful than it is with knowledge, because clearly I have no R&D with this. This is my one prototype, and hopefully my one and only. But I think the 1/4 inch will be fine, because I'm pairing it with this. Okay, this is not a 10,000 pound skid steer that has all kinds of lifting force. I got about 1,000 pounds of lifting force. Yes, I'm jamming it down to a small, long 27 inch shovel that's got a lot of leverage. Well, it doesn't matter. If it breaks, it breaks. But because of him, I went and I've added 1, 2, 3 gussets up here. I don't know that that matters with any of this bending. Honestly, guys, I'm struggling. I'm struggling to see that C channel bend. I mean, that's a 1/2 inch all the way in the corner. I just feel like the back end of this machine is going to go long before this ever bends. I probably have less confidence in my welds because, well, I'm just an okay welder, and that might even be kind. I've designated this ridiculous tree that will not die my first victim. When I mean it won't die, it's because the water was all the way up to here, guys, when it flooded, and this thing stayed underwater for months. I thought for sure the flood would have killed this, and yet it still sits here. I don't know. Some of y'all might like these kinds of trees. I can't stand it. And the reason why is when I come through here in my zero turn, this is what it's like. Ripping my ears off, my hat off, my headphones off, everything off. It just needs to go. Now my wife says, oh, don't take it out because I love it. She never even comes out here. She hasn't been within 500 feet of this thing. It's got to go. That was incredibly satisfying. And it definitely helped that this soil is so soft and still wet, but I don't care. That was a victory. That is gone. I can mow here without getting my face ripped off anymore. 2 days ago, guys, I would have been digging this tree out with this shovel. So I don't care what anybody says about how small that tree is and how worthless all this was. That will be used plenty for stuff just like this, maybe a little bigger, maybe a little smaller, but it won't require this anymore. And that was the whole point of this machine. This machine has its limitations. I am reminded of that often on this channel, but I think folks miss it. I think folks miss the point. There's manual labor, and then there's this thing. And even with a regular bucket, you know how many shovel loads of dirt are just in a regular bucket for one of these machines? It's far from perfect. In fact, it's probably closer to imperfect than it is perfect, but what it is 1,000 times better than manual labor. And for whatever it's worth, guys, like, that's heavy. It's because this is all wet. Like, it's heavy. I mean, there's a lot of soil and sod still stuck to that, but that thing pulled it right out, and we'll clean it off here in a minute. And I promise if there's any fractures, it'll be in this video. If you don't see any or I don't comment about it, it's in fine shape. This is one of 11 trees that we lost from Hurricane Milton. You can see that the stump kind of starts here and it goes all the way around here. This was actually one big water oak that just at the bottom of it kind of developed a hole, and one of the reasons why it didn't survive. I don't think that this machine has a chance whatsoever to get something this big out of the ground. But this stump has been in the ground for about 9.5 months, hopefully rotting. So I thought I would just jam these teeth into it a little bit, see if I could break off the top. I mean, even if I could knock the top off of this, I could actually start mowing over it. That would be pretty awesome. Some of you eagle eyes may have caught what was happening, but the bottom plate was actually popping off the bottom of the skid steer quick attach. Now these plates, one thing they're known for, and I've dealt with 4 of them, is that their tolerances are they're just too big. The gaps are too big on the bottom. The pins actually won't get enough bite. But I welded in risers. If you go back in the video, you'll actually see that. I welded in risers so that way the pin would have more bite. I think under normal bucket working conditions that those risers are sufficient. I think with this amount of pressure, it's just, well, it's popping off, so it's not enough. So I have a little bit of encouragement here that we're going to see if we can close that gap. There's too much play with it on here. Okay, that looked like that moved quite a bit. There's still some play, but it's not popping off. Watch. All right, that's only possible because there's counterweights on the back.
Oh, Hercules, Hercules.
Guys, sometimes you just got the wrong tool for the job, and that's the case here. That machine is just, it just doesn't have enough you know what for that huge oak stump. And I don't know, 1/4 inch, maybe if it's attached to a real skid steer, 10,000 pound machine with a cab, maybe that machine and that oak stump with that in between it, maybe that thing does fold up like a pretzel, kind of like that guy suggested. I don't know. I actually think it'll hold up fine on this machine. As you saw, the back end of this machine was actually lifting up whenever that thing was bound. So I think the pairing of those two, this should survive for a while. My technique was terrible. I was literally just running into it, chipping off rotted pieces of wood rather than getting up underneath it and trying to dig it out and, you know, serrate the roots with the teeth there. So I'll come back to that. I kind of knew I was doing a bad job. I need to wrap up the video because it's getting late. I need to I need to be a dad. I need to be a husband. But don't leave yet, because I want to say thank you to you guys. I started this channel 6 months ago. I cannot believe it. I'm already at 3,200 subscribers, which is like nothing compared to these big channels, but I feel totally blessed, guys. Thank you so much. This is so fun. I love your comments. I think I can say I've got a 100% response rate. Most of the time I actually comment, but everybody at least gets recognized. I do read them all, even the ones that disagree with me and tell me I'm a knucklehead in their own words. That's okay. Those comments are fine, guys. Really, I welcome all of it. I really want to have a productive conversation, so even if your comments are in disagreement with how I'm using this machine, whatever it is, if they're in a disagreement with me, think about what you're saying and is it going to help another viewer? That should really be your goal, even if it is to put me in my place. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your comments. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate that, really, truly. So it's because of you guys I come back and I do more videos. So let's wrap this up. Like this video, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.